Namaste everyone, welcome back. My apologies that it's been a while. I was traveling and teaching in the last few weeks and I wasn't able to shoot videos at the time. I wanted to start discussing twists. We have done a little bit of forward bends, a little bit of back extensions, standing extensions, standing poses, sitting poses, mainly discussing a few principles that we need to pay attention to as we are practicing. Similarly, we need to understand the principle of a twist. Twist is one such group of asanas where the extension, vertical extension of the spine, let's say the way we understand Urdhva Hastasana, Rope Adho Mukha Svanasana, Virabhadrasana 1, where we are looking at extending the spine from the base to the top. Mind you, we do this in all asanas, but some asanas, the expression of the spine naturally takes a certain form, and these asanas which I just mentioned, like Ropa Adho Mukha Svanasana, Urdhvastasana, Virabhadrasana 1, naturally take to the extension of the spine. If we talk about asanas which create a horizontal opening, Ardha Chandrasana, Upavishta Konasana, Supta Padangushtasana 2, such asanas, Virabhadrasana 2, make sure that there is end-to-end lateral extension of the spine, lateral extension of the body that we are able to understand. Now, it's not that these asanas don't include an extension or don't include an expansion. All asanas include all languages of the spine, because ultimately we are looking to create or achieve an understanding of spatial awareness and space creation inside the body. So, when we talk about twists will incorporate all of this, several of this. Before I talk about that, I just wanted to give you an idea. Now, when I take my hands up in Urdhvastasana, as the hand indicates, the direction of movement is intended to be from the root of the spine, that is the sacrum tailbone, all the way upward toward our hand. But the aspect of taking our hand up, as I already discussed in the previous class, opens out the lower thoracic space, that is the lower middle ribs, therefore creating a spreading action as well. So it's not just an extension, there is always an extension plus all the languages of the spine that we need to pay attention to. But what I'm trying to say is Urdhvastasana by nature creates an extension. Similarly, Virabhadrasana 2 by nature creates an outward reach, therefore opening the chest, opening the lower shoulder blade, etc. Now, when we talk about the twist, apart from extension and expansion, that is a spreading as well as a lifting action, we're also looking at a rotational action. This is where we have to understand intuitively what the nature of a twist is. Traditionally in India, the way we would churn butter is to take a stick made mostly a wooden or a metal stick. In South India we call it a mattu, and we have curdled milk cream or milk cream wherein we insert that metal stick and a rope is coiled around that metal or wooden stick, and as we churn, the churning action of the rope creates a spindle kind of a movement through the stick which then generates butter through that curdled milk. The reason why you need to understand this, or at least should have an observation of this, is because it's easy to relate to it and understand the action of a twist. So when we talk about a twist, so considering this churning action, there is that middle spindle which entirely rotates, right? So it is not just a part of the stick that rotates, but when I pull the string to the right, pull the string to the left, the entire spindle rotates. So there are again varying kinds of twists. I'll come to this logic later, but do understand that the way we churn or a spindle turns, or even in a fan, the way the central spindle rotates, like that, the central spindle of the spine or the cavity within every vertebrae should almost experience a rotation. Now, this rotation, to create that spin in that central spindle, as I said, I pull the rope from the center to the side and I pull the rope from the center to the side. Center to the side or away from the center involves spreading away from the center. So when I pull a rope from the center, I'm pulling it far, which means there is a spreading action. From the center, I pull it far. So to create that spindle rotation, there is a spreading action, there is a spreading action. And this demonstration of a twist, you can't see it much in the central spindle. You can feel it really well. The demonstration happens when the lateral edges of the body show a nice turn. And this is what I'd like you to understand in twists. First, I will start with seated Bharadwajasana and then show you a variation in chair Bharadwajasana. Because this video, as you already see, I've set up stations, it's going to be a slightly longer video, so please be with me. Now, while we discuss the spindle rotation, I mentioned to you that there are various twists that take form of this twist or take form of this twisting action differently. For example, a Bharadwajasana is an open face twist. It is a concave back twist where the back rib is engaged in and the entire face of the body turns. But when we talk about Marichyasana, the leg comes as a blocker against the abdomen. The abdomen, like a dashboard, is compressed against the spine, and then the rotation comes so beautifully well, opening the turning side of the lateral side of the body. Let's say if I'm turning in Marichyasana and I have my right leg and I'm turning right leg up and I'm turning to the right side, then while the leg there is a dashboard compression between the abdomen and the thigh, the opening comes so beautifully in such a way that there is a spreading action on the right side. So I just give you a quick example. This is not how Uttira Marichyasana is done. I just wanted to give you a quick example where there the concentration is on naturally opening the right side of the body. If I did it to the left, there would be a natural opening to the left side of the body. Now if we talk about Parshva Virasana, when I sit and turn, let's say in Virasana the hip is very much stable. So when I turn in Virasana, I'm able to establish the turning action so well upon the stability of the hip, which may not be the case in Upavishta Konasana, where Parshva Upavishta Konasana, I have to use the logic of Virasana in stabilizing my hip and turning. In Bharadwajasana, the region of the lumbar turns beautifully well, whereas in Parshva Baddha Konasana, the region of the upper chest and shoulder turn very well. So different twists deliver different actions, but the logic of having a central spindle and turning with the sides of the body to exhibit the turn or to complete the turn must be understood, and here we will look at some points. So when we initially sit for Bharadwajasana, as we know, both legs are taken to the left side. And when this happens, you know that the body falls to the right. So we are trying to raise the left hip up and push the right hip up and push the left hip down until the spine comes in the center. And this I would like to discuss a little bit. Now, firstly, when we start with sitting in Dandasana, we have to ensure that we insert our hand and open the crease of the buttock from center to side several times. Here our hand goes all the way inside the crease of the buttock toward the perineum. The crease of the buttock has to be released in such a way that the right edge of the perineum and the left edge of the perineum get a release. The perineum centering is very important. So it is not where the hand is kept on the outer edge of the crease is released and there ends the story. That's not the way. The hand has to go all the way to the inner edge of the perineum, that is inner edge of the crease of the buttock, and the crease of the buttock should be released in such a way, all the way from in to out, where the center perineum, that is the skin covering the genital to the anus, connecting the genital to the anus, that pathway is completely released, and the crown of the head to that perineum has to be properly centered. When we are twisting, we don't realize that our body is being thrown away from the center. So to understand the aspect of centering, when you're in Dandasana, you have to clear the crease of the buttock very well. Make sure front and back, left and right, you're able to identify the center of the perineum. The crown of the head through the vertebral column identifies the center of the perineum, as if I was able to pass a ray of light through the crown of the head. Passing through the vertebral canal, it's able to land on the perineum. That is how we are able to see that channel straightness. And we take the leg to the right or left, ensuring that that understanding of the perineum is there. So now when I take my legs to the left side, the arrangement is such that the right leg goes on the outer side of the left hip. So we don't sit on the leg. It goes on the outer side of the left hip. And the frontal shin comes over the arch of the right foot, as if there was a ready-made jigsaw puzzle where the frontal shin fixed onto that arch. Now if you see, the sitting is in such a way that the spine tends to be dropping into the right hip. So this is where we see the spine involuntarily falling and controlling that spine centeredness, crown of the head over the perineum, becomes difficult. For this, I then use a blanket to equalize my hip. You can use a blanket, you can use a bolster, depending on how high it is. How you know is, suppose I sit and I see that my buttock is so many inches off the floor, then depending on this thickness, whether it's the thickness or a blanket or bolster, how much you have to push down, that thickness needs to be provided here. I hope I'm clear. So if the separation is this much, then using a bolster would make sense. If the separation is just this much, then using a blanket would make sense. So gauging the gap, you have to support or bolster the opposite hip. So once again, while sitting for Bharadwajasana, I take my leg in such a way that the heel is on the outer side of the hip and the top of the shin goes and rests on the arch. Here remember, this knee should not fly up. The first half of the leg is very much like Dandasana. It's as if Dandasana is then folded to the side. That is what we did. So this should be in Dandasana. You shouldn't swipe your legs out to the side like this. Both knees should still maintain the integrity of Dandasana and face forward. This knee should not fly up. It should be pinned down by gripping the back toes down on the floor. Now coming to the equality of hips. This is something which it is important to watch. When we take and bolster the hip, we are only padding or giving height to the sinking side of the hip. So you saw that the weight was sinking on the right side. So in order to uplift that hip, I am only using a blanket to the right hip. So the left hip can be squared and released down. This is where I've seen several students make a mistake where there is a gross push to the left hip. So you see what I'm doing? I've raised the right hip up. So the sinking right hip is being assisted. So now we have to take the left hip down, but this is generally done as a gross push. So what happens when there is a gross push? Yes, the left hip has come down, but at what cost? The spine is tilting backwards. There is an exalted opening on the right end, but a squish on the left end. And if you see, I'll show you on the back side. When there is a gross push, I'm actually tending to shorten the left pelvis and open the left pelvis. So how I would understand or prefer to articulate is really try to release from the pelvic rim down to the buttock, making sure the paraspinal muscles and the gluteus muscle is lengthened. So instead of a gross push like this, I would like to really articulate a release at the hip, where from the upper pelvis, I am trying to lengthen the sacroiliac joint. Lengthen the sacroiliac joint using the paraspinal muscles, gluteus muscles until pelvis to pelvis comes free, maintaining the symmetry on both sides. So this should be understood differently than this. This is a gross push where we are just throwing the weight. This is an articulation where I'm allowing the sacroiliac joint to become equal on both sides, and from the upper rim of the pelvis I'm trying to reach the buttock bone down to the floor. Now when this is done, you'll see both sides of the body having an equal picture. When this is done, you will see one side is lifted, one side is squished. So when you sit, it is important to articulate your hip. You have to be able to release in a planned and methodical manner. So once you've done that, once you've sat and once you've released your hip in that fashion where you're able to release the pelvis, you create a symmetry. Now this turn would look like this, where both sides of the body have an equal ability to be lifted and turned. But this push would create an exalted opening on the right side, creating a bloating on the right side and a compression on the left side as you twist, which I feel should not be encouraged. So sit, articulating the hip, creating equality at the sacroiliac joint, pelvic rim, equal length to both sides of the body, and then you cross your hands over. When you cross your hands over, you would have seen in Bharadwajasana, usually it is common to lift your backhand as if rooting the back hip, you are lifting your backhand, always remembering that the length of the spine should never be compromised. And then when you cross your hands over, you put your hand over and around the front and side of the knee, outer side of the knee. The hand doesn't come over the front of the knee. There is no grip here. The hand actually goes like a hook. Even in Bharadwajasana, the hand goes like a hook. So your hand is trying to go around your knee, not on top of your knee. When your hand goes around your knee, you will see that the shoulder blade softens. When your hand goes on front of your knee, the shoulder blade remains or can have the capacity to hitch up. Whereas when your hand goes around your knee, your shoulder blade spreads, your shoulder spreads, and your shoulder blade quietly sits. So your hand has to go around your knee, not on top of your knee. Now, when we said we're going to have a lifting action, the hand going around your knee ensures that the back, left, pelvic rim to buttock bone is released, and then the hook from that release, from that contact point of the buttock bone, we are able to grow the spine vertically up. Then comes the turn. Now that I will show you on a chair so that the understanding becomes clearer. So when we sit in a chair, first it's important to keep the feet as wide as the knee. So don't clash your knee inwards with your feet wide, or don't drop your knees wider than your feet. Your knee joint is directly over your ankle joint at a 90-degree angulation with the femur. That is femur with the shin 90-degree, knee over ankle, and you will maintain this. Now remember, when we take the hand forward, this is the hand that goes over the knee. So this hand doesn't go on top of the chair because this again hitches that shoulder up. It goes around the chair. When it goes around the chair, the shoulder softens, the shoulder is able to sit, and from the shoulder towards the elbow, we are able to create a length in the upper arm. So this is a short upper arm that agitates and lifts the shoulder. When the hand goes around, it's a long upper arm that allows the shoulder to rest. This is one thing. Now the hand that catches, monitors, is the crown of the head over my perineum, or am I tilting to one side? So here again, I'm trying to release the back pelvis down towards the buttock bone, sacroiliac joint equally long, and I'm monitoring if I can see the crown of the head is directly over my pelvis. Then I start to turn. When I start to turn, the grip of the frontal hand presses down on the back buttock, lifts the spine vertically upward as if a ray of light from a torch starts to become longer and longer, or the flame of a lamp starts to become longer and longer, the lift of energy from the sacrum towards the crown of the head appears to become longer. The energy has to lift. And when I turn, holding this grip, I am trying to widen the back of the skin covering my right ribs. That is the latissimus, and the back body at the back, right ribs, widens towards the right elbow. And the front chest, the front intercostals, widens towards the roll of the back bicep. This I will show you in a frontal position. So, taking this station, when I put my legs in, hands over, and I get ready to turn, this grip is important, where the upper arm grips into the top backrest of the chair. Gripping, I lift. Gripping, I lift. So this grip makes the lift and turn possible. So this is not a weak arm. This arm will grip to lift, grip to turn. But what I was saying is, from the division of the spine at the back, the right latissimus or the right skin of the back will widen as if it widens into the right elbow. As far as the left hand is concerned, I keep my hand, I externally rotate my bicep so the bicep doesn't fall in front. As I externally rotate my bicep, I am able to turn the front left side of the body, the front diaphragm, the front abdomen, as if it completely rotates into the external rotation of the bicep. So, whenever we turn, we have to inhale with the hands grip, monitor crown of the head over the perineum, lift the spine. And as we exhale, we have to exhale from the lower spine to the top spine. Otherwise, the top spine will rush into a turn. So, inhale, lift. Exhale, roll the abdomen from right to left. Inhale, lift. Exhale, roll the diaphragm from right to left. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn the chest from right to left. And then, similarly the shoulder, similarly the head. So, the aspects of rotation include press to lift, extension, and then holding the hands firm in that position, the back of the right body will spread into the right elbow, the front of the left body, the turning side, will spread into the rotation of the left bicep, and then as you stack a turn bottom to top, there is a complete spinning action where that spindle kind of rotation in the spine is exhibited by the front side of the body completely turning from the back to front side, and the back side of the body turning from the back to front side. So as you turn front to back or inner to outer, back as you turn, outer to inner, completing that rotation. So as you see in this pose, when I say I'm stacking the spine, turning the lumbar, turning the diaphragm, turning the chest, I'm making sure it's not an isolated turn. The entire spindle of the spine is turning, and just like I pull the strings, the side edges of the body are rotated or articulate to spread and turn. So the sides and the center of the body turn, and as you are turning, you have to ensure that the ring of the ring of the rib cage stays over the ring of the pelvis. It should not burst forward like this as you turn. So you have to sit back, keep the ring of the pelvis over the ring of the thorax, rib cage, and then turn honoring that alignment. It shouldn't go out of alignment. It should be with that alignment where the thoracic rim stays aligned with the pelvic rim as you turn. In every asana, there is really so much to study that we are sharing glimpses, but as these videos continue, I hope they will genuinely be of help in your practice